Hey y'all, and happy Friday. I'm back, y'all. It's Trisha the Realtor, tips and tricks of real estate. So, today we are going to talk about when you are in a space, when you are ready to buy and sell. I want to let you know, I'm always telling you things that you should do to prepare, right? I'm telling you to be more proactive than reactive. But what I have not mentioned is what not to do, right? So there's certain things that you shouldn't do once you know that you're ready to purchase or you're ready to sell your home, right? Because a lot of the things that you do prior to those, to buying or prior to selling, it makes a difference. On sometimes it can make or break a deal. Um, if you didn't do the right things or didn't prepare. And once you're under contract, it is a legally binding document, right? So unless you know up front, I don't want to say, let me not say that. When you have a contract, there are some dates and there's ways to get out of the contract. So I don't want to scare you. But once those certain dates pass on the contract, it's really hard for an agent to get your earnest money back, right? So that money that you put up front, our job is to make sure we protect it in case you do have to back out of the contract. But what I want to do today is before it even has to get to that point, let's be proactive in the sense of let's cut out certain things when you know you're ready to purchase, right? So once you decide, okay, this year's the year, because I hear this a lot. Every time the new year comes, this year's the year I'm going to purchase. Or sometimes I'll meet someone like 2 weeks ago. I met a few people that were like, this year's the last year for me renting. I hear it all the time. So to really prepare for this, and let me tell you a story. So, like, when I first was going through the process of purchasing a home, it started way before the actual document signing and all that stuff or whatever. I told you how low my score was already. For those of you who don't know, I had a 469 credit score. So I had some work to do anyway, to get ready. But I stuck to the plan. I was consistent and I made it. So that's the advice I'm going to give you today. If you are truly ready or getting ready to purchase, getting ready to sell your home and you haven't purchased in a long time, these are some things that I want you to think about before you get to that stage, because a lot of times we are 6 months, sometimes more out, when we're ready to purchase. For me, it took almost 2 years for me to get ready because of where I was and how much work I had to do. You know what I mean? You know, everybody's different when it comes to how long they need. But I feel like I'm already giving you guys the tips and tricks. I might as well tell you guys that too, right? So let's say we're now in August, which is crazy because the year flew by. But let's say you know what, Trisha, August, we already know once August hit, the rest of the year just flies by even faster, right? Because we already hit the mid-year mark. We're going towards fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like, we already know the year's almost over. But I hear people say, you know what? Right after the holidays, I'm going to be ready to buy. Okay, so let's say that's you, right? So you say August 2024, I'm going to be ready to buy January 2025. Okay, perfect. Let's do it. What I want you to do, wherever you are as far as your credit, right? Whether you need help or you don't need help, whatever the case may be, avoid making any major purchases. Major purchases meaning like don't go out and buy a car, especially for the people who like the luxury cars and who like, the blinged out cars, whatever the case may be. Once you decide to buy a home, try not to make big purchases. Buying a car can really make or break, because I have some people that haven't had a car note in a long time and they finally wanted to get a car. Now, if you absolutely have no choice and you have to do it, then okay, fine. But if you know for sure in the next couple of months you're going to buy a house, don't buy a car. Number one, you already know they're going to pull your credit a million times, right? Then you already know that, of course, you're going to have a payment unless you're buying it in cash. You know what I mean? So that payment is going to now be added to your debt to income ratio that I told you early on that those lenders are looking at. So don't buy any big items. And then I know some people are like, you know what? God said, I'm going to have a house by January. I'm going to start preparing for a house. I'm going to go buy furniture. No, you're not. Do not buy furniture. Once you know you want to buy a house, I recommend you don't get your credit pulled at all, to be really honest with you. The only time I would say to pull your credit is if you're trying to add to your credit. So let's say you have no credit at all, right? You have a credit report and you don't have a lot on your credit report or nothing at all. That's just like having bad credit. So you have to, of course, get some items on your credit so that they could see that you're a good payer. And I'm not saying go crazy. I'm saying, I think I told you this before, you can go to self.com, pay $25 a month. It looks like it's a loan, but it's actuality a savings plan. Yes, I would say do that. If you don't have a credit card, get a prepaid card. Let them report every month on that. If you don't have a installment loan, that self.com, it actually reports as a loan, so you don't need that. You know what I mean? You only want things that's going to boost your credit. And the two I just mentioned, self.com, and believe it or not, Fingerhut. Fingerhut helped me boost my credit. Yeah, that way back in the day thing, fingerhut.com. Yeah, that helped me boost my credit. That's the only time I would say have your credit run. Otherwise than that, do not have your credit pulled, because it is going to affect your debt to income ratio, which we do not want. Okay. So now some people think that because they're about to purchase a home, that they have to make sure they stay at the job that they're in. That is not the case anymore. You can change jobs, right? Because sometimes people get laid off, sometimes things happen, whatever the case may be. You can change jobs. You just can't have no job, right? You need some kind of income, right? You can change jobs. My recommendation, if you are changing jobs, make sure you keep your pay stubs together from your previous job. Make sure your tax returns have already been filed. So these are things to prepare, because once you switch the job, we already know it's not going to be 2 years. So they need 2 years of employment. So if you're switching the job, if you have to switch a job in between you trying to purchase, or you got accepted for a higher position, whatever the case may be, and you have to go, I would say try to save those pay stubs from that job. And if you haven't filed your taxes, to file. So that way they can count that income that you made from the previous job and then add it on to the new job, right? So changing jobs is not always a bad thing. It's just keeping records, right? So you want to keep those records together if you are changing jobs, because once you change the job, they're going to want to either see an offer letter, a pay stub, or both. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, something that I did when I was getting ready, I wasn't always like a person that saved. I wasn't a good saver. I'll be honest with you. The saving wasn't my strong suit, right? So what I did, I kind of put it in a savings account that I don't always have access to. So we already know the upfront fees to think about, right? We know that earnest money has to be, you need to have earnest money that is telling the seller that you're serious about buying a house. I'm always going to recommend an inspection. So that's between $300 and $500 there. And I'm always going to, and you have to have an appraisal done on the property. So the lender is going to require that. So those are just upfront fees that you make sure that you have, right? So when you start putting money away, think of those things that you're going to have to pay up front. And, we do have different programs to help you with down payment, but you still have to have some of your own money too. So if you are saving, so if you're like me and you're not good at saving, that self account that I told you is a great account to have, because you can't touch the money. Well, I don't want to say you can, but it gives you a way to save and kind of close your eyes and don't see it. right? So there's different ways. So there's savings. The savings account that I had to physically go into the bank if I wanted to take money out, right? So I purposely did not get a card for that savings account. I make sure I had no card for it. So anytime I had to do anything, whatever money I put in the savings account, I just left it in there. And the only time I could take it out is I had to physically go to the bank. And y'all know, everybody want to do online banking and stuff like that. So actually physically walking to the bank, oh no, or going into the bank, that helped me save because I didn't want to go in there, you know? Something else that I did. So actually, the banker that I had at the time, I bank with Regions Bank, not plugging them in or anything like that. But the bank that I have, the guy called. I was talking to this guy about something on my account, and he said, you know, based on your accounts, you should probably separate your bill money to your savings and your spending money. And I'm like, what do you mean? So basically, he was like, add another checking account, make that checking account just for your bills. So that way, when you do your budget, you know, okay, I have $500 left for my check, put that in your spending account. So this was like over 6 years ago, and I still do it to this day. So let's say I write down all my bills because I started doing a budget, right? So I'm going to recommend that for you guys as well. Have a budget, whatever your bills are. So what I do, I write everything down, all my bills for the month, and then based on what I have coming in for that month, I deduct those bills. So I keep it in my main account, and whatever's left from that, which is like my, disposable income, or money that I can actually spend, I put it in a spending account. So that way I know that this account, once the spending account is done, that means I have nothing to spend. Okay, so that was helpful. And then I had the savings account that I told you about. So this was like, okay, this is my house money. I'm not spending this because I want to get a house. So have like a good financial plan if you are going to purchase a house, because not only is that helping you before you purchase, it's going to help after as well, because now you're going to have a mortgage, right? So you want to make sure that you have money for your mortgage and you have money for, lights and everything else. And you might still want to have that savings account as well, because when you're a homeowner, you no longer can call the landlord and say, "Oh, something's wrong with my toilet. Something's wrong with this." You guess what? That's you now. You're a homeowner. So having that savings account, something happens, you have that account. And then I mentioned this before, having a home warranty on your home, and that could be added to your budget. Generally, they range in price, but you may be looking at $60 to $70 a month, but it's so worth it. True story. 3 weeks ago, my refrigerator went out and my AC went out at the same time. If it wasn't for that home warranty, I would have had to pay out of my pocket. The only thing I had to pay out of my pocket is the deductible. So that's something to think about. But guess what? If I didn't have that money in the savings, I would have had to, get the money from somewhere for the deductible. So having these things, having your financial plan would be great. And something else that you can do, and sometimes I recommend this to some of my clients when they come to me, even if you say you're not ready until next year, some people just don't know where they are at all. Like they don't know credit wise where they are. They don't know how much money is needed. Sometimes it's good to get a pre-approval even from now, even though you're not going to buy until next year. And why I say that's important is because that way you can make a budget. So if they tell you that you're going to need about $20,000 to for your down payment, your closing costs, whatever the it may be, and I'm speaking high numbers because sometimes it's less than that. But if it is $20,000, at least you know what you're aiming for. You know what you have to put in your savings account. But once again, once you get that pre-approval, you would want to keep it as close as possible to whatever that lender saw. So whatever cards you had on there, card, loan, whatever, you want to make sure you don't add to it. So that's why, not making big purchases, not having your credit pulled a lot is important because they're basing your approval on what they see that day. So if you add stuff, that could change your approval and how much you can actually purchase. So I would say also, people are so afraid of rates right now. So afraid of rates. I will be honest with you. The houses are not going down. The prices of the houses, they're not going down, to be honest with you. But rates fluctuate, right? So don't be so afraid of rates that you miss out on a home. You may, so just this week, I was able to negotiate about $8,000 worth of closing costs for my client because people are so scared to buy right now. It's a buyer's market right now. You do have some homes where they have been sitting for a while, or you have some that are, they're selling pretty fast because they're in great condition. But right now, you can negotiate, some closing costs for yourself, and sometimes you can fluctuate on the rate. I mean, on the price of the home. So this is the time. So don't be so afraid of people saying the rates, the rates, the rates. Right now, I have two clients under contract, and they were able to save either on the amount of the home or closing costs. So I think don't listen to people. People are always going to have their own opinion. Talk to a professional like me, Trisha the Realtor, so you can know exactly what the trends are. Don't just go by what people are saying, like, oh, the rates are so high, I don't want to buy right now. Well, guess what? If the rates go lower, and that means more people are going to buy, that means sellers are not going to be so prone to give you closing costs or help with anything. So, be careful of, oh, yeah, I can't wait for the rates to go down. Okay. And for my sellers, if you know that you're about to sell your home, don't make any renovations that you didn't complete, or finish your renovations that you've started. Don't start a renovation knowing that you're not going to finish it, and that's not going to be a good experience for the person that's touring. you know you want to try to fix as many things as is wrong with the property. you know I don't suggest trying to hide anything. I suggest fix what can be fixed, unless you're prepared to either give them the money to fix it themselves or prepared to get lower than what the expectation that you had. So if you planned on selling it for $275 and you have $25,000 worth of work to do in the house, it's going to be $25,000 less. So you decide on that. Um, Something else for the sellers, that if you are, looking to sell by next year, you can actually do your own home inspection before the buyer comes in to do this, the home inspection. Like I said, if there's things that that's already that need to be done, once again, I'm always going to say, let's be proactive instead of, reactive. So if you talk to a professional like myself and say, what is your, opinion? Don't say, well, I don't think I should do that. I don't think it's gonna. We know what the buyers want. We're out here with the buyers, and we know what's important. So, contact someone like me, even if it's not me. Contact a professional that, because even if it's a contractor that you trust, and have them do an inspection on the property and say, do you think that this is something that we can get fixed, for a nominal fee, whatever the case may be, right? So try to get things done before. Don't try to hide things, because they eventually come out during inspection, and you may get someone that's very savvy and know what's going on. Don't try to put lipstick on a pig. Um, and then for my buyers as well. So if you don't have an agent already, start researching an agent. As I always on my show, I'm on all the socials, Trisha the Realtor on Instagram, Trisha the Realtor on Facebook, Trisha the Realtor on TikTok, and I'm on LinkedIn as well, Patricia Reid. Research your realtor or your real estate agent, because that's another way to be proactive. You may not like someone that someone suggested, oh, I know this great agent, but when you talk to the person, you didn't like them. So if you're being proactive and doing things early on, research a real estate agent as well. Another place to look up real estate agents, and I think I talked about this last week on when you're doing your own research, is going to the National Association of Realtors, and you can actually find me and other agents on there as well. And for my sellers, once again, do not neglect staging your home. So if you know you're about to sell, declutter. I think I talked about this before. Don't add more stuff. So some people are like, oh, I'm gonna start packing. I'm gonna leave all the stuff in the living room and they can just go around it. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, we don't. We no, that's not a good idea. When I get back, we are going to discuss just like the final things on do's and don'ts when you are either going to buy or sell, and kind of getting ready for home ownership. So be right back. All right, y'all. I am back. So before we end the morning, if you are looking for a professional real estate agent, realtor, you can call me. My direct line is 678-849-4734. Or my email is Patricia, Patricia .reid at remax.net. And I can answer any questions that you may have. We can come up with a plan for you if you are one of those people who are waiting for the next couple of months to purchase, and I would love to help. So before we end, I just want to kind of recap of what we already talked about. Avoid making any major purchases once you decide to buy. If you are changing jobs or feel like you really need to change a job, I would recommend keeping paperwork from your previous job, so when they ask for it, it's already available. Make sure that you have a financial plan, right? Make sure that you have, your savings and whatever else you need to kind of prepare yourself. If you really want to be proactive, you can also, contact me or another professional to have your pre-approval done, to kind of see where you are, where you need to be ready to purchase, whether you need, a higher score, you need to save more money, whatever the case may be, right? We want to try to do that. Don't listen to people, like, if they're not a professional, if they're not actually in the business and industry, talk to a professional. Don't just believe what people say. Oh, the rates are too high, you shouldn't buy. Yeah, the rates are high, but these sellers are giving some closing costs. Not all of them are, but some of them are. So, you know, do your own research. Listen to the professionals, okay? If you are looking for a real estate agent, I told you the National Association of Realtors. Kind of want to reiterate that as well. For the sellers, if you want to see what's going on with your property, have either a contractor or a home inspector look at your home and see if there's things that need to be done. Don't start any projects that you know that you can't finish. So that's like a big one. If you need to stage your house, let's stage it. Don't add clutter to the to your home. Oh, I'm gonna start packing. No, 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 no. You can start packing, but put that stuff away. Okay. So I hope today that you learned, something, and it helps you prepare if you are in the category of either looking to buy or sell. Some things not to do, some things to do. You know, like I said, I went through the process myself, so I'm not just talking from a realtor or a real estate agent. I'm also talking from being a buyer at one point, right? So I prepared myself. It took me a little while, but I did it. So it can happen. You just have to be persistent, consistent, and you'll get to the finish line. And I would love to be the person to help you. So if you want to reach out to me, my socials, Trisha the Realtor, and you can always call the station. You guys should know the number by now. But my direct line also is 678-849-4734. And I look forward to talking to you guys next week and see what next topic we would talk about. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. And for those of you who may be going through a storm, um, prepare, stay sheltered, and even prepare for something like that as well. But have a great weekend. Thank you for everything, and have a great day. See you next time. Happy Friday, y'all.